They called us angels once, golden gods, born of gene-forged perfection and holy purpose, but if you stood where I stand now, knee-deep in the corpses of the fallen, the air thick with burnt flesh and the cries of the dying, you would know the truth that we are not angels, that we are weapons, and weapons were never meant to feel that. My name was Brother Lucian of the Ultramarines, 5th Company, once proud, once pure. But what I became, what we all become, that's the grim truth no Imperial sermon dares to tell you. Listen well, because if you've ever looked up at a space marine and felt awe, you deserve to know what lies beneath the armor. They took me when I was 12. A boy from the slums of Kolth, too small to fight, too angry to die. The sky was burning with the echoes of orbital fire when the recruiters came. They said it was an honor. My mother cried. I told her I'd make her proud. That was the last time I ever saw her. The training began in darkness. We slept in stone cells, ate protein paste that tasted like ash, and learned the Emperor's catechisms until our throats bled. The weak died quietly, some in their sleep, others during the trials. The apothecaries called it selection. We called it thinning the herd. Then came the surgeries, organs, needles, pain, screams muffled behind iron doors. One by one, our humanity was carved away, replaced by the Emperor's design, 22 augmentations to make us stronger, faster, unbreakable. But no one told us what they'd take in return. That I remember the first time my heart stopped. It wasn't fear. It was nothing. The drugs numbed me to everything. When I awoke, they said, "Congratulations, Brother Lucian. You are closer to divinity." But it didn't feel divine. It felt like dying, just slower. Years passed, and I forgot my own face. I became armor, discipline, and code. They called it rebirth. Yet at night, when the barracks were quiet, I sometimes dreamed of my mother's voice, soft, calling me by a name I couldn't remember anymore. The chaplain said dreams were weakness. So I prayed for silence, and silence came. On the battlefield of Gathis IV first campaign that we descended from orbit like falling stars, our drop pods slamming into the soil of a world already drowning in fire. Orcs had turned the once beautiful plains into oceans of mud and blood. I remember stepping out, bolter in hand, and seeing my reflection in a pool of black water. My eyes glowed like cold sapphires, emotionless, inhuman. Then the order came, cleanse and burn. We tore through the Xenos' ranks with righteous fury. Bolter shells sang hymns of destruction, Chain's words roared like beasts. The ground shook under our advance. It was glorious. It was horrific. When the dust settled, I looked down and realized the small hand clutching my boot wasn't that of an orc, it was a human child. She was already dead, her body burned by our flames. "Collateral," said Sergeant Vero, voice like steel. "The Emperor protects." That night, I prayed again, not for the Emperor, but for forgiveness, and silence answered. Decades turned to centuries that we do not age like men. Our bodies remain strong, but time eats at the soul. I fought on 100 worlds, watched countless comrades fall, some vaporized, others crushed beneath tanks, others lost to madness. You learn to stop counting. Brother Marius laughed once, during the siege of Thrax Prime, said we'd fight forever, that we were eternal. I saw him die 2 hours later, bisected by a tyrannid's claw. His laughter still echoes in my mind, a cruel ghost of what little joy we ever had, and yet, we kept fighting. Always. For every brother who fell, another was forged to take his place. The Imperium called it duty. I began to call it penance. The Emperor, the one we were made to worship, to die for, he sits silent on his throne. 10,000 years, and no word, no warmth, no salvation. We shout his name into the void, and the void never answers. then came the campaign on Melchior 9, the battle that changed everything. The planet was dying, torn between chaos and imperial bombardment. We were ordered to hold a cathedral, one last bastion of faith. I led my squad inside. The walls were carved with prayers, now blackened by fire. Civilians huddled in the corners, clutching their children, praying for deliverance. The sergeant's order came again: cleanse and burn. I hesitated. For the first time in 2 centuries, I hesitated. They were imperial citizens, our own. The Inquisitor's voice thundered over Vox: purge the unclean. The taint is unseen but spreads like rot. I looked at the terrified faces. A child, maybe 8, stared at me, whispering, "Are you an angel?" I raised my bolter. My hands trembled. No one tells you that Space Marines can feel fear. But we can. We feel it when we realize we've become the monsters we were made to destroy. That day, I broke the order that I told my brothers to stand down. To protect, not kill. The Inquisitor branded us heretics. We were hunted, not by chaos, but by our own kind. That we fled into the wastelands of Melchior 9, hunted angels, broken weapons. One by one, my brothers fell, until only I remained. Now I wander the dead world, haunted by the ghosts of every scream I silenced in the name of the Emperor. My armor is cracked, my bolter rusted, but my heart, my cursed, stolen heart, still beats. That I have no chapter now. No brothers. No name, but perhaps, in this exile, I found something even rarer: truth, because the grim reality of a Space Marine is not glory, or faith, or victory. It is sacrifice. Endless, silent, and unseen. We are the Emperor's angels of death, and our wings are made of ash. So next time you see a Space Marine, on a poster, in a story, or in the prayers of the faithful, remember, behind that armor is not a god. It's a man who was taken, broken, and rebuilt to forget what it means to be human. And if the Emperor still watches us from his golden throne, I hope, for our sake, he can still